Not sure if you can see that, folks, but in that case there's 1 jar of tomato sauce left. So 12 months, 12 cases of tomato sauce. Time to make some more sauce. Let's go. Let's get started. Hey folks, today I'm doing a video on processing tomatoes. I'm going to try to show you the system that we use to process the tomatoes before we get them into the grinder. And that mainly consists of how to remove the water, how we remove the water from the tomato so that you don't have a really watery jar of tomato sauce. Okay, because if you don't remove enough of the water, you're going to have kind of a watery sauce and it's going to waste jars and so forth. So this is how we've grown to do this in this process. So first thing we're going to do here is we got our tomatoes from the field here and a few potatoes. We're not going to grind those, of course. Okay, so we're going to get those. We're going to rinse them in our field crates. That's how we do. We usually pick them and get them in these crates like this, and we stack them. This is the first rinsing. We'll rinse them off good. We'll take the little flyers off over here. Take those off. And the next step will be to get them into our bucket. Once we get our flies off and they've been pre-rinsed, we'll rinse them really good and we'll get them in a bucket of clean water, like so. Okay, from here, I'm going to cut them open, cut them in half. Okay, I'm going to take the cores out. I'm going to squeeze the juice into this bucket where all the scrap's going to go. So this bucket doesn't have to be that clean. And then we'll get them into our pot here where we're going to pre-cook them. Pre-cook them and strain them. Next step is we're going to grab our tomatoes here. I usually cut them right in half like that because it makes them easier to squeeze. Okay, I'll just core out the bad parts. Cut out the cores. If you see any bad or rotted parts, you want to cut those out too because that'll promote the grading of the tomatoes. So you only want the real good parts going and being cooked and browned. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit of juice out. These are real meaty tomatoes, so there's not going to be a lot of water. And then just get them into your pan. See how I squeeze that, Ash? Mm-hmm. If you have all the tomatoes of the same variety, you can save this bucket and pick your seeds out later and get them in the process of saving the seeds. But these are all hybrids, so I'm not doing that. I'm not worried about that. These are Big Mamas, and this is a new one by Burpee. It's called Super Sauce. It's a really big tomato. We're trying that out this year. So, anyways, like I said, we're just going to cut them in half. Cut all the bad parts out. Squeeze them, get some water out. That's your first step of getting water. Let's get our pot filled up here, Ash, and we'll show them how we drain them in the next step, right? Okay, there's the last tomato, Ash. That's an ox heart. It's all meat. That's a beautiful sauce tomato too, the ox heart. Right, so all our tomatoes are in the pot, guys. We're going to fire this up. We're going to pre-cook them. There's also another way to get some water out of your tomatoes. If you do this process and you have to stop for some reason or another, obviously you don't want them to rot on you, so what you do is you put them in a pan. It's something that you could get in the refrigerator, put it in over the fridge overnight. You're going to find the next day there's a lot of water at the bottom. You can drain it and then you can put it in your grinder from there. A lot of people don't like to refrigerate. I don't, but sometimes you do have to, and that will also remove water. I prefer this method here, cutting them up fresh and cooking the water. So let's get this fired up and I'll show you how we get them in the strainer over here. Let that cook. Whoa! See that bee, Ash? Okay, let those cook down. We'll get them in the strainer. Alright, so there's another reason why we do it like this beforehand would be because a lot of people will just throw them in the grinder and then cook the water out of the sauce. But in order to cook this much water out of the sauce, you'd have to be cooking that sauce for probably 4 or 5 hours. You don't want to cook it fresh tomatoes that long. You don't want a dark sauce. You want a bright, vibrant sauce in the can or in the jar. Tomatoes should not be cooked that long. Before you even cook, then they're going to be cooked again when you make your sauce. So I've seen people do that on YouTube, but to me that's really not the right way to do it. So those are all cooked now. As you can see, there's a ton of water in there. I'm going to take our straining scoop here. I had a bigger one than this, but can't find it. So we're just going to take our scoop and get everything scooped into the pan, and it'll drain down into the bucket. Let it drain there for a bit. Then we'll get our machine started up and we'll start grinding the sauce. Over here. Here it comes. See all the excess comes out here, Ash, see? And all the tomato sauce goes down there. We're still getting water. There's a lot of water in tomato. Look at all that water. I found my good strainer. So this is all up here, Ash. See inside there, honey? Yeah. That's all water. There's probably 2 jars of water right there. Okay? Keep pushing this up here. We'll take them from here and get them in there. Looking under here, Ash. There's so much water under there. There's probably a few more jars of water in there, right? Look at all that water, right?
Yep.
Then over here. We're going to regrind this on the top, but look at all the water there. There's probably 5 or 6 jars of water. Okay? So that's why we do it. Get this in here. Let's just fill up this bucket to show you how much water we took out of these tomatoes. Of course, if you don't do this, then this is all the water that you either have to cook it off or you got to jar it. Okay? So there's probably 1.5 gallons there, plus what I have in here, probably another, and this is not a huge batch of tomatoes. Probably a couple of gallons of water there. Okay? It's a lot of water, you know? You don't want your jars full of water, so. Anyways, we're going to regrind this secondary matter. We're going to redo this 4 or 5 times, and then we'll cook it. This is not a big batch. It's probably going to be about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 jars. We don't have a lot of tomatoes right now, but just kind of showing the process here. One more time, Ash. It's getting pretty dry here. See, it's coming out really dry. See how dry it is?
Yeah.
Okay, we're done. This is all the water we got from the tomatoes. You actually want to save this water, guys. Okay, because once you start cooking your tomato sauce, getting it ready to can, if you find that you've taken too much water, you can always add some of this, okay? And you can use it for other stuff, you know, making V8 juice or whatever you want. So this is what we wind up with, folks. A nice, fairly thick sauce before we cook it. As we cook this, it's going to appear to be really thin, but that's okay. Once we get it jarred up, it's going to be right out of the dishwasher. We've got our jars. Teaspoon of canning salt in each, and 1 basil leaf. I'm not sure how many jars we're going to get here. This is just about ready to start canning here. Okay, some of the old timers will just take this superheated sauce here, get it in the jar, put it back in the box, cover them with blankets, put it in a corner, cover them with blankets. It'll stay hot probably for 2 days. Pretty much everything inside of there is killed. And a lot of the new timers will just go by the ball book. I recommend you go by the ball book and reboil these for whatever it tells you to do in the ball book. Probably soft can them in the hot water bath them for maybe, I don't know, I think it's like a half an hour, but you want to double check that. Okay, it's a nice thick sauce. We'll shut that down and start canning here. You want to constantly be stirring this on top, guys, too. just to keep everything nice and even going through the bottle, the jar. Yeah, that's nice thick sauce right there. Beautiful. Okay, and those tops will go into a vacuum shortly. Get it into your canning. Give it a little shake too. Shake that salt around. Beautiful. Oh, just had a little air escape there. Beautiful. That's it. Enjoy, guys. Have fun canning. It's a blast, and it's it's hot. It's really fun to do, and you can't beat fresh tomato sauce. Enjoy, guys. Okay, folks, we got 8 jars. Exactly 8 jars of goodness right there. Beautiful, thick sauce. Rock and roll, baby. Enjoy, folks. Okay, that wasn't too bad. About 3.5, 4 hours later, we're all cleaned up. Ready for the next batch. As a matter of fact, Uncle just called me. He told me he's got another big batch of tomatoes, so I gotta drag everything back out. Either that, or I might just try the old refrigerator method. What's going on there, guys? Come on. Wow, there's a lot of eggplant on this. This is show going crazy. Might as well check out the garden while we're here, folks. This is my Italian Christmas tree with all the little eggplant ornaments. You can see them. Things are looking pretty good here in the garden. Looking really good. Yeah, some people it might not be worth it, but for us it's worth it. Nothing like fresh tomato sauce. Better than the canned stuff, that's for sure. Enjoy, guys.